empathy, right? I think we touched upon this topic. I think I'll move to the second part of, you know, thanks for being so, I didn't even touch upon the second aspect. We quickly move to diversity. Actually, we were covering in Singapore, we were covering a company in one of these conferences, and this company has talked about a very unique initiative. I know, it's a European company with almost 70 years of heritage. So they have a practice, they have formed a diversity group, and it's about there are 22 members in that group. This is a consulting company called BCG. So they have 22 member team. So on the basis of the percentage of people in their workforce, they form those members. It's like a small committee. So let's suppose if you have 40% of your population, let's suppose are Asian. So they have 4 members out of 10 in that committee, and they form the committee. So now what will happen? Anybody who got inducted from that particular committee, they need to have first dialogue need to happen with the committee member in the first month. It's a part of the process. Then at the end of every 3 months, that committee member is like a buddy, right? For that particular person from that particular background, it's a buddy system, and they're doing it at a global level. It's about 300,000 employees. They have about BCG is a consulting arm of this company. It's a big BCG's arm.
So this committee is in BCG or in that company?
BCG has set that committee for this big organization.
Inside the company?
Yeah.
In the company?
Yeah. So they told me about this, and we later on confirmed. So with that pretext, because this is a best practice, right? And Forbes has globally talked about this, that this is we have never heard of.
Keep the people is too much. It must be a big company.
And I know, but with this diversity topic, as she was rightly saying, it's a very quickly we are using all these jargons and all these words. We just want to know, right, in the coming few minutes, what is the one thing that you have done for this, right? It can be anything, right? For her, it may be, she is saying, I hired so that my sales can go up. So this can be one measure of how you are addressing diversity. But any step that you have taken in your span which has improved, which you can consider as a noble diversity concept, then we'll be happy to hear. And anybody can volunteer, right?
I want to talk about something very interesting that I came across with one of the firms that I was working with. So they used to have these group discussions to just check whether the person is a fit. Now when we talk about diversity, we're talking about race, gender, X, Y, Z. We also need to talk about the nature of the team. Sometimes firms just want to focus on someone with a high IQ, but this person is smart, or like if they just focus on the skill-based assessment, that's about it. So now, like she mentioned, everybody same. So we talk about the idea of collective intelligence. Okay, you need to have diversity in team as well. Okay, within the team, you need to have someone. Okay, so if all 3 people are of high IQ level 110, are they going to speak to each other? No. Even if the same age, same country, they're going to have personality clashes. Yeah. So that's why there is a thing called ostentatious listening. Whether you can, if some other person is pitching idea, how would you get back to that idea? How would you constructively add to that idea? And that is why a lot of these firms would like to do these group discussions to see whether they would come down to being a collective, intelligent team, or is it just a group of different people. So that sense is also very important when it comes down to having these group discussions to understand in an essence.
But have you done this in years?
For me, right now, we've been building lean teams, right? So, for example, for marketing, yes. When we're hiring for the marketing role, it's very essential that other people who are going to be working with this person meet them. Once we did not do this exercise, and we did end up having some issues. So we do this not for sales because that's an individual role. They have to work on them. But when it comes to very collaborative roles, say back office operations, settlement, HR and admin, it has to be very essential that other people involved in the team for the day-to-day tasks also are a part of the selection.
There is one department in all my companies I have faced, this department will never agree to diversity, which is fine.
Finance. I thought.
Yeah, that's why they only want to hire one set of people. Okay,
That's why you
Huh?
Why is that? Yeah.
In this part of the world.
Why is that? But why is that?
Because they are so biased that it's only this ethnic background people have the strong financial skill. So I had this challenge in all my organizations when I joined IC finance team. Same ethnic background, same nationalities. Let's put it. And then when someone would resign, I would go to the finance manager and say, "This time, let's hire someone else." No. Don't disturb my department. No. Don't like Shivani. You can do this in other departments. Look there. But in my department, and then it took me a long time. I had to really produce and show them CVs of other ethnic backgrounds, saying, look, they are also qualified, and try. And so it was a lot of push and pull. I could manage in two of my organizations where I could change the diversity of finance department.
What you did?
We found good people. It was a struggle, but we found them good people, and also the finance manager. It's educating, kind of counseling. You can't really influence them much, finance people, but it's like.
But you push them, right?
Yeah, and I would say why not?
Yeah.
Why
so you
not?
have incorporated diversity within hiring.
I would always say there is always a probation period. So let's try. There's always a probation period.
Yes.
Why not? And then
Absolutely.
if it doesn't work, we can
Yes.
always go and replace.
Absolutely.
I agree. It takes a lot of consistency and education, and repetitive behavior, because they're also accustomed and used to certain ways throughout many years of working, right? So it's dealing with that personality as well. And just coming back to your point, what I recently introduced at my company is that regardless of who we hire at what band level, we book them a 15 to 30 minute coffee catch-up with the CEO. And what's been happening over time is that these meetings, I'm like, 15 minutes is good, because if they're a very junior level support, they have very introverted personality. So it's almost hard to get a 10-minute discussion with the CEO out from them,
They talk too much.
Vice versa. Vice versa, so and over time what I've realized that these 30 minutes are not enough. Some people are actually going to 45 minutes. So I've asked my team member, let's schedule 45 minutes. If they finish earlier, the gift of time is there. But this is how we introduced, and they do feel inclusive, because they're within the first week, they're talking to the CEO. Normally it doesn't happen often in this region. There's a very strict hierarchy system here and a reporting line, but it's been working quite well. And what we do is we extract information that the CEO gets during those conversations, and I then have a follow-up with him. It is a male in this scenario. He is the CEO, and we pick up on little attributes that they mentioned. For example, one junior finance assistant, she has a fond. She's very fond of this particular wine. So what he actually suggested is that, listen, next time we go out, let's order the group the same wine and have that inclusive.
So I'm going to talk about cricket. Okay, so I used to work for that.
Cricket, right? I hope it's an inclusive topic.
It's a very inclusive topic. So
I know nothing about cricket, but I will listen.
Absolutely fine. So I think cricket is known to be a gentleman's sport.
Okay.
And it's meant to be a men's sport. It started as a men's sport, and the only thing that you see now is women in sports only because of the broadcast revenue that women's sport can drive.
Okay.
Because it's a saturated market with the men's sport. Now, one of the initiatives that we were driving at that point is to change this perception, because we wanted cricket to be men and women and accessible to everyone, including handicapped, blind, deaf, everyone. So we said, okay, let's start with administration. When this was way back in, I think, 2015, ICC had about 70% men and 30% women. Okay. And the age group was 45 above, so roughly about 60% of the team was 45 above, and then the rest were just roughly about 25, 30, that sort of thing. So we said, okay, right, let's now hire more people in the sets where we don't have enough representation. How do you hire these people? So we went out to, globally, we went out to a lot of member boards, cricket experience, FIFA, lot of sports possible, and we mapped out the people in different areas that we wanted to hire. we realized there's a global skill set gap. There are no women. Okay, there are no women in cricket administration because it's very true to a lot of sectors actually. And in sports, it's absolutely there because of our society stigma around it, not being accessible to women, all of that. So we said, okay, let's change this. We started a 100% cricket program about 3 years back, which was to create grassroots level cricket opportunities, very dedicated to administration in cricket. Right? So this meant that if you are someone who is interested in cricket or making a career in any kind of sport, apply for this internship program. You were then paired with industry leaders. So there are about 10 or 12 industry leaders that we'd identified, including people from the corporate sectors. So women from the corporate sectors had, so this was a whole marketing exercise where we identified people just like you identified us. We identified a lot of people to recruit them as people who would run these programs for us, and then we inducted mentees and mentors and all of that, and the whole program was put in place. ICC, I think at this stage is running the 4th program, and we were able to not only place these people successfully, women successfully into different tournaments, create opportunities within ICC as well. The gender diversity has now come to a 60-40. It's still not 50-50. It will take a little time. Age-wise, we were able to get representation across different age bands. So it's sort of changed the perception by running internal programs and making people. One of the things I've learned over time is people that are not open to this, you make them in charge of these programs. And suddenly it is their responsibility to help you get through the agenda. And this is somehow worked very well, and we did that at ICC, and I've been sort of taking a lot of learnings in various sectors, these sort of learnings into various sectors, which are very gender,
This is a very path-breaking initiative in an industry where there was no presence of women.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it. I mean, it's not easy.
It's not easy.
One question: how did you convince your stakeholders? Right? There is no economics to this, right?
There is a lot of economics to
No,
this.
no.
So,
Why I'm saying it because many a time, right? Most of the
Yeah.
good plans get hands down because of this. So it has been.
monetization of commercial rights, right? It comes down to monetization eventually.
Oh.
Men's sport at this point in time
Oh.
has an economy share which is so large that you cannot go further.
You cannot advertise.
This is a new product.
Yeah.
10 years time you're going to see the investment. Let's focus on this. That's how we.
Some of the multinational companies, they create reward system for leaders.
Yeah.
You do diversity, inclusion and all, and if you do it well, you will be recognized.
Yeah,
and then leaders get to do it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
They
that's
must be
always the
recognized.
case, no? With HR, bad news goes
Bias.
That's always the case.
Isn't FMCG sector being doing that? I think FMCG sector has been using diversity as one of their agendas for the longest time. I think all of
But
us
they
are
are
just following.
FMCG is bulk, and they're
Correct.
into
We are just following it.
usually big. So for them, diversity is kind of doable, but for SMEs or small organizations, it's a bit of a struggle to get along. But most of the times, what we have done in my experience is that we would create different projects, and then we would create focus groups to work on that project. And when you have the focus group, we would identify people from different ethnic backgrounds and bring them together, saying you will work on this project. So first they were like, oh my god, I don't know this person, okay, I've never interacted. So that biasness goes away, they start talking, interacting, they learn, they become friends. By the time the project is over, they don't want to part, they want to stay there. So this focus groups have worked very well in my experience, working on projects for 2-3 months, so there is no harm. And by the time the project is over, they go back to their teams and they remember that they worked on a project. So these are also creating good memories and success stories that you can talk about in your newsletter, or you can talk about in your annual reviews and stuff like that.
Any other initiative from this side?
I have been doing.
Yeah.
Sorry, you go ahead.
Anybody?
A few initiatives. First one is culture mentor.
Top of the initiative that you think
Culture mentor.
Okay, what is that?
So now we all talk about diversity and inclusion. So we keep on hiring people from diverse background, diverse thoughts. But will we be able to sustain them? They may feel that I am not part of this group. So whom they talk to, whether they are directly or managers, because they are too busy handling the business. So we have introduced a concept of culture mentors. When we introduced mentors, all the department managers, they thought, oh, okay, I have to identify or nominate a mentor. Means anybody who's a supervisor of this person is a mentor.
Mentor.
So it took a little effort from our side to explain. Mentor means anybody who has lived up to the values and he's a thought leader in the organization. Even the person can be a junior person, like 1 or 2 years of experience, but he or she is living up to that values that we live every day. So these people, if somebody is joining with 15 years of experience and he has been guided that talk to this mentor who's just 2 years old in the organization, or rather he has total 2 years of experience. So that culture shift, or first of all, that the shock that this person gets, when am I going to learn from this person? What he or she will guide me. Yes, so that mindset, if we bring in the organization, that learn, reverse mentoring, learn from this person. Now learn what? Okay, people in this country are always new. They want guidance for their house, groceries, or which church do I go to, or where is this? So this mentor will be there to guide or advise you in whichever way you want, other than business. Because for business, we have your KPIs, you have this paper, you can refer this. But how do we discuss those non-essential, non-technical part in the organization? So yes, we take care to that extent that you can discuss with this person anything, and he and she is your culture mentor. And who we also nominate and recognize these culture mentor on an annual basis. Like there will be 5 culture mentors in the organization who perform really well because they are supporting us in retention. Because most of the time, few people also leave because of very softer aspects.
Being not wanted, right?
Yes.
Not wanted in this.
Yes. So like I'm performing too good, but nobody is bothered about what I am being bugged for. So here is what your culture mentor. Another thing, like we are a growing company. So when I joined, we were only 30, and today we are almost 100. I was the 5th female employee, and I was very clearly told no more female.
I face that.
It resonated. And somehow I heard that no as a challenge, that why
Should we
not?
edit this part? We can do that, right?
Actually, just to this one, this happened to me as well.
It happens
I think
here
it
in
happens
Israel.
It happens, I think I have heard from this side of the table as
It
well, right?
happened to me. I joined. It was a big organization, and my MD was setting up what do you call this, weekly business review meetings. So he invited all the head of the departments and did not invite me. So I went to the MD and I said, "Why am I not part of this meeting?"
You went up to
And I
them.
asked him, "They're talking numbers." Yeah, okay, I understand. We're talking what? Numbers. They're going to discuss numbers. So I said, "I do understand numbers." "No, no, you're a woman." So
Are you telling me they said that?
I said one thing: if you don't include me in these meetings, I will be drifted away. I will not understand, not learn the business, and then I cannot add value. Number one. Number two, you're reporting to the CEO who's a woman. So I don't know what you're trying to say. And he said, "Good point." I said, "Then I'll see you in the meeting." I left.
For me, the way it has happened is one of the MDs that we had. So the lady, I think she took on the role without understanding the magnitude of the role. And so when she saw it kind of drifting apart, and eventually she had to be let go. The first thing the CEO came and told me, "Deepti, no more female." I was like, "You're talking to a lady here." And then he was like, "Yeah, but the thing is, they will have temper tantrums. They will have their this, their that." I said, "These are the things that I see commonly in you." And then slowly, what we did was, I started introducing skills-based assessments, and then kind of pairing, okay, this will work here, this will work here. And then he was like, "Who did this?" I was like, "This person." "Seriously?" And then the next question is, what's the nationality of the person? And for me, that kind of irks me a bit. I was like, how does that matter? And then that went into a lot. It was because that industry in itself is quite a biased industry here, and it was a lot of push and pull. But then the next thing, because he did not at any cost want to have a woman in the management team, so he was like, "No, you're okay." I said, No. That's separation there.
Yeah.
And then he was like, "But that lady that touched a very sensitive point, telling, but she's a single mother. I was like, the lady is going to work. I was like, she is going to be driven. And what we did was me along with, there was another, so that's another thing. There will be always these men who are really good allies who will work with us. And I caught hold of another guy who was one of the senior members. I was like, let's sort this out. So within each team, when we hired ladies, we looked at different things, how we could, kind of compensate and bridge the gap. Eventually, he kind of subsided, but that thing about getting women and listening to someone, even if he had to listen to me, it was like, oh my God, I have to listen to her. But then, yes, slowly he saw the value, how people were performing, and these women were the ones whom we put in, like, your sales, your going out there, meeting your HNIs. These were the people who were bringing in business. Because they used to work day in and out. So it was different things. It was like, play with the numbers, play with emotional quotient, play with the technicalities of it. But I think that bias is quite out there, that it's a stereotype. One, nationality. Two, based on the nationality, how they will segment the pay. And a lot of times what I've seen is women themselves, they segment this. They'll be like, okay, she's just had a baby, or she has to take care of her kids, she's alone. Why will she have time here? Will she work extra? Will she be available? But these are the people who will push the boundaries.
Yeah, I think she was also thinking the same thing.
But I also again hired women in all the departments, including system admin. I'm not sure if everybody will agree, but IT department is one department which is devoid of female.
Every month we celebrate birthdays, and then we decide this month which cuisine. Okay, Indian, next Italian, different cuisines. We do have an African lady from Cameroon, and we were like, okay, we want Cameroon food in the next monthly birthday celebration, and this is very difficult to find.
She'll serve the hungry.
No one is cooking. No one is cooking. We are ordering.
You are ordering.
We are ordering. Company's paying for it.
Okay.
So we are ordering that cuisine because today we're gonna enjoy this particular ethnic.
This is interesting.
Food.
Yeah.
We are ordering. So we don't know where to order Cameroon food now. It's not available. So she was so nice. She said, "I will cook and bring." And I said, "We are 30 people in the office, 35 people in the office." I said, "Too much." No, my husband will cook. And she actually made. So we told her, "Don't make too much. We will order something else, and we'll also have the Cameroon food for people to taste." And she did it. But this is like you get to taste different foods.
And imagine if I give you the example at the beginning, if the company is just one nationality, we will not have this problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
If one nationality,
There's no
same
other
environment.
I also want to add, right, so when it comes to, you're talking about sort of impact and diversity, there could be a sense of greenwashing, when you talk about diversity. Oh, yes, I'm ticking the box and hiring a woman, I'm hiring, just to sort of segment make sure that I have different nationalities, for example. In my company, and I wish I could take credit for this, but it isn't. Yeah, I'll say it's myself, okay? No, but I mean, what I'm trying to point out is that in order for this, because it's a huge buzzword, diversity, inclusion, and so I think the main point is that it has to be systemic. It has to be embedded in the ways of working. It has to be embedded in your policies and procedure. One of the best ways that I can give an example from my company is that how we're talking about the inequality in unequal pay between genders, right? We have a published internal document of how much each role is getting. Entry-level role towards this. Everybody will get the same thing. And then we have a published documentation on competencies against which they will be assessed at the end of the year. So all of these objectives obviously may vary because the way that we work is based on consulting. So there's still a project basis, but at the same time, the overarching assessment is still very much skills-based, competency-based, performance-based, and I think it's very important. You could talk about, we're all diverse, I think on one hand it's good that you're giving, you're sort of kind of like zeroing in on each of the kind of nuances, I suppose, of your demographic. But at the same time, you also want to show that where it matters, we're all equal. And I think it should be embedded in every single thing that you do.
Absolutely.
Integration part of the culture. A funny example I was coming down to it. So everybody was talking about the religious orientation. So it's a Chinese firm. A lot of employees are Chinese. So for them, it's a basic understanding that mostly they're going to be Muslims, they're going to be Hindus, they're going to be Christians. So we're all talking about, and I said, I'm sick. And they're like, oh, just take a sick leave. Why are you in the office? And I said, I'm sick. So a lot of people don't understand what my religion was, and that awareness. So because I said I'm sick, and they're like, why are you in the office? Just take a sick leave. And I understood that there's not a sense of awareness about the religion, right? So that very employee, I mean, it's just a sense of integration and orientation. Yesterday was Guru Nanak's birthday. And this very employee comes to me and he's like, Arshkiran, congratulations. And I didn't really get my head around it because I just woke up, I wished my family, I had no idea. I was like, Guru Nanak birthday, Sikh. I was like, oh, thank you. So like that sense of orientation, that integration into the framework, that sensitivity, that he felt so bad that day probably, that it wasn't out of any, I mean, he wasn't aware about it. But the fact that he is so sensitive about his own teammates that he wanted to go home, research about it, and he was so mindful that he came and wished me, is exactly when we talk about the culture part, right? So diversity should not just be when we just come down to hiring, but that culture part that you really want to integrate, you work well together, is what we're talking about. So yeah, that's
huge.
Yeah.
Coming to integration, by the way, I mean, what we do in our organization, like you also mentioned, to sustain is very important. Retention, again, is very important. You might have diverse people from various regions, but when they come to the organization and they don't feel belonged, then they will leave.
Yeah.
So onboarding plays a very, very important role. So what we are doing, we take onboarding very seriously. So the first 1 month, the person who is joining spends time with each department, understanding what every department is doing. And for leaders, we have another program called New Leaders Assimilation. So what we do there is leaders, talk about
Bye. They touch my WhatsApp. You're on the group, yeah?
Yes. Right. So what they should expect, what the team should expect, how he or she wants work to be done, meetings, all those expectations you will not deliver when you're in a professional setup. So this is very informal meetings wherein the team is there. We have certain questionnaires and there is a discussion happening. So this kind of helps to integrate, they feel belonged, and that's when they will stay with the organization. Absolutely. So that's very important.
Absolutely. I think I'll tell you now. I think firstly, thanks for being all participating. I think they've already exceeded time way back. I think I would have loved this keep on flowing. Right? It's very good. A lot of emotion has been on the table. I think a lot of people have, put hard on the sleeves, spoke out. We'll try to do the best job, given some of the names of the companies and everything.
We just realized we've done so much. It's a realization. I can go back and make my
I've done this also.
current review. I did so much.
I have grown so much sales for my company, right? But having said that, I think when we thought of this topic, I think we all believe that the biggest scam of human mankind is that women are not being given proper view, and that's the biggest scam, right? There is no bigger scam than this, and they make to believe that they're not equal. And then hence they are fighting for this. But having said that, this is the biggest scam. Having said that, this topic was like should we pose this topic to a group of women leaders, because they themselves have suffered these issues in terms of inclusivity and diversity. But are they doing something really good despite being at a suffering end? So the good takeaway for me is that despite being on a suffering end, a lot of people have spoke their heart out. They are doing really good in some of these capacities, putting in an economical sense, convincing the stakeholders. Some very noble ideas like even something like a party or a lunch and all these things. So I think I end this on a great note. Thanks for being part of this. I think you've been a wonderful speaker on this.
For me, the biggest driving factor to come and be part of this forum was to know people, and I didn't know that it's going to be so insightful because I have never met such a diverse HR group, such diverse experiences, challenges, and your innovative ideas. I think it's. I have worked in consulting, and it works in the same structure gets replicated to McKinsey, to BCG, to Bain. But when you talk to different people, you actually realize there's so much to the world of HR that's happening. But really lovely. Thank you so much for inviting. Sorry.
Thank you. Thanks to Saurabh. Thanks to
Very
Sonali.
fancy and very glamorous.
Yeah.
And also very glamorous people, knowledgeable.
I do want to add one point. We did speak about a lot of emotional,
Yeah.
experiences. But most of my experience is from Canada. I relocated from Toronto. And I must say that the amount of respect that a woman is also shown in the UAE is something that I've not witnessed in North America, in the UK, in other parts of the world. Though they are so progressive in their diversity grid, in inclusion and all of that, the level of respect that women get at work, yes, there's scenarios here and there. But you go into the office, good morning, ma'am, they'll hold the door for you. The level of politeness and respect that I have witnessed and experienced in the past 12 years in the region is it's not incomparable to the rest of the world. And this is and I've gone through my shared fare of nuances and you call it what may, but it's how you carry yourself, and it doesn't put the region like it shouldn't. We shouldn't have a bias towards the region, because if you look at the region itself, it offers a lot of opportunity, a lot of respect. So, looking at both ends of the spectrum, I think is very important.
True. I came out because when you sent me this message, I was like, yeah, Shivani, you must go, because we are always in our own bubble, in our zone, busy working, trying to do lots of work. Yeah. And then I felt that, I need to get out. I need to get out and meet more people.
From the economics world, right?
From my world. And really, it's not that this is my first thing. I've done this many times, but I do this and then I again disappear. I go back to my zone and then I don't come out. So I would like to do this more often. And in fact, now that we are all connected on this WhatsApp group, let's stay connected there, and we could meet without Saurabh.
Love to.
And so I'm glad I came on. It was really interesting to hear different perspectives. My opinion has changed on certain things.
Definitely, I think it's a very good platform wherein people working in different industries, different cultures, different countries. And
only one part we missed out. Sorry to cut you there. We were getting 3 Arab ladies. Unfortunately, the last one. One was from the bank, as you rightly said. You have a lot of. But
it's always because she's now from healthcare, ICC, retail, manufacturing, IT, consulting. I think you have different, because every industry, the way HR, I feel as an HR person, we are privileged in the sense you can work in multiple industries and you can learn, that is a very good benefit.
Crave about DI policies.
So I think that's a very good advantage for us, because we can explore different industries. Obviously, sometimes I feel very sad when in the JD it's they mention a person for HR, preferably from this industry. I feel it's not required, because as an HR, you can, for you as an HR person, when you work in different industries, I have worked in multiple industries. I have worked with agro industry, I have worked with telecommunication, I have worked with non-banking finance. So I feel, we can learn, and at the same time, we can add value from the industry that we work in today, right? So I think it's diversity, working in different industries also required. That's very good for us. Yes.
Absolutely. Done. I think anybody else? I think we can conclude also. Anybody, or I think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.